So it's not always beautiful and sunny like in the brochures. Often you get downpours, and actually here in Sydney the sun just wants to burn your face off half the time. So is this Fjord 41XL now a bit of a crossover between sexy med dayboats and your sedan cruisers? I think it could be, but keep watching, let me know what you think. Dan Jones is my name, you're watching Dan's Boat Life. This is the walkthrough. If you're interested in a detailed test drive, we have just done that, gone out through 2-metre rolling swells, put her through her paces. I believe this is a better hull than the Fjord 40. I've driven many of them. So follow the link coming up on the screen now. Let me know what you think. But I'm going to get straight into it because the first thing that I've been noticing all day, I've been on the boat for about 5 hours now, is this windscreen. So it's a real improvement from what we've had on previous fjords, and let's face it, all competing med dayboats. They normally just do a half windscreen which finishes about here, and therefore your wind vortices are coming in over your head and the rain's coming in as well. But now we have a windscreen that goes all the way to the roof, wraps around to here, and so everybody across to the front of the boat here is completely protected from the wind and the rain. Huge advantage. Next thing I want to point out, the roof itself at the front hangs over the windscreen. So we have a little bit of overhang, which on a sunny day like it is today, stops the glare punching through and then putting reflections or just disrupting your vision a little bit. So that's cool. But the big thing, which I believe everyone's going to probably just start copying this now because it's that good. This roof is epic. They've managed to keep the boat sexy, but it's so practical having a roof going all the way out to the full extremities of the boat. I can go from here all the way across here and I'm fully in shade. So I know Aussies are going to be loving that, but it's not just about the shade. Like, we're out of the rain. So we can deploy the sunshade at the back, we're protected from any light showers, and we're always enjoying these views. So that's, I reckon it's a bit of a game changer. Like, if you're in a mild climate zone like we are here, and particularly if you're in a hot place, you want connection with the fresh air and you want to see maximum views. And when you have this view looking back, it's like, what's that? 270 degrees or something. It's truly epic. So your sight lines and what you're enjoying on your anchorage or wherever you decide to go, it's pretty awesome. So let's get cracking. We'll start at the back of the boat. That's I just think so cool, and there's more to it which we'll get into later on in this walkthrough. This particular boat has got the fixed transom platform because we've got a super duper swim ladder. So I mean, you could, if you had a big huge dog, they could still get up this swim ladder. Clearly old people or anyone who is disabled, but just anyone is going to be happy with this setup. And the way it works, it folds up, this door opens and it hides underneath us just here. Got a couple of pop-up cleats on the very back of the boat. And then as we come in, we have the furniture arrangement. So these boats, there's about 10 options. I'm not going to try and describe them all because there are so many. The standard boat is actually all flat deck. So I don't think many Aussies are going to take that. Maybe some Europeans will find that popular because the Italian fancy furniture that you can option this is movable. So that's an option, and that furniture I believe will even float. So you could chuck it in the water and have a good time. But I don't know, I feel like for our climate, this makes a lot more sense with the aft-facing sun lounges like we see here. These will actually pop up. So on either side, I've got access, lots of storage. We'll cut to B-roll for that, so you don't have to walk around, Anthony, but you can put lots of your pool toys, some of your cleaning gear, and all your fun stuff that needs to be out onto the platform and deployed into the water. Makes perfect sense to go underneath this sun lounge. And the lounge itself is huge. So 4, 5, 6 people, no problems. And you can actually extend it by operating these. So look at that. This is so cool. So I'm really protected from the sun right now because the shore shade is deployed and it goes to this spot just here. So, you know, that's going to be good all day long, I think. So Spoken about the storage under there. We'll get to these seats in a second, but as you enter the boat, you do have this little flip up stair just here. I've actually used it to store my shoes, but it's actually for the shore power, as you can see just in there. So that's as you enter, and then you've got the typical Fjord kid and doggy door. That's huge in stainless steel. Behind that is where you would store the shore power lead. Makes sense because the plug-in's right there. Here's our pop-up Fjord cleats, and they've got a nice embossed logo in there. It looks like a laser cut, and you do have some rope protection because this is a beautiful, I hope you appreciate the drone shots I've made for you today, beautiful paint job. This thing is gorgeous looking at it through the drone. One of many fridges, so this is a bit of a theme. We're going to keep seeing this as we get moving. Opening up through here, this is diesel in. I believe we've got 2 tanks on this one, 2 tanks of 450 litres each, diesel. We're running the Yanmar 370s. You've got many options. We covered that in the test drive, and the water in breather here as well. That's kind of good. If you had any spills, at least they're going to stay on board and not go into the water like some boats. So there is options to have these tables electrically lower and turn this into an absolutely ginormous day bed. So that is possible. This particular boat has been set up with this fixed stainless steel legs, and this is really great for a lunch spot. We've got the 2 options here, and you still can get out and move around because you have this gap here, and both of them will fold up like that. 1, 2, 3, 4 drink holders on each side. Engine access is underneath me through this hatch. We'll do that later in the video. So just keep moving our way up starboard side. So super awesome stereo. These speakers are the theme. We're going to see them all the way around the boat. Next thing I want to point out might not be immediately obvious, but it is actually a skylight through this roof just here. So this particular owner has had some mesh screens installed locally. Makes perfect sense, so you can have them deployed or installed through the middle of the day to cut out some of that UV load and rip them off towards the end of the day when you want to let some light through. Talking about lights, got a couple of downlights right above me here, which makes perfect sense because here we have our Barbie station and we've got our drink station under here. So this is in glass now. I'm pretty sure they were Perspex on the old Fjords. A really deep stainless steel sink, and we've got a nice Corian cutting bench or top or whatever you want to call that just there, and a interesting looking barbecue. It's a flat plate, and all the drains all the grease is going to drain into that corner just there. But underneath this one, so hopefully you can see that, Anthony, we've got these pull-out drawers just here. They are soft close, and these little shelves here are good for storing smaller items. And then as we make our way along here, we have shallow storage here, but then quite deep storage going all the way underneath the cutting board just there. And we have some 240 plug-in access just there. Now I pointed out one fridge. Here's a second fridge just here. So these are drawer fridges, just so you know. So basically, the people sitting across here, because if you come over to this side, which you might as well, Anthony, so go around the back and just come to this side, nobody, and I think this is important if you have a boat like this, nobody has to stand up from any place in this seat setting to get a drink. Everybody can just lean, pass you a drink, same here, very convenient. That is great, I love it. So underneath here, I'm going to have to cut to a shot. It's actually fishing rod storage. No, I can do it. I believe this would be fishing rod storage, but also the poles for the shade up on the bow. So they're going to be in their own custom bags here. Not a bad place for storing a few ropes as well if you need. And that's just underneath there. This is your hot and cold swim shower. It's quite a bougie one. Look at the shower head on that. That's pretty fancy. So that's cool. Haven't seen that on a Fjord before. So we do have more shore power cable storage, but I would actually use that for ropes on this side. And this is the diesel in on port and the Fireboy emergency deployment, plus a manual bilge pump just here. all the bilges are going to be electric as well with float switches. Another large speaker here. It's a JL audio system, and this is one of your JL audio controls. Here we are midships on port side. So it's also worth noting, whilst we're here, just come across to the side again. I just want to point out where this roof finishes. How good is this? So this is the end of the boat, and the roof is just here. So this is one of your supports. This whole thing going through 2-meter waves, proper ocean swell today, was solid as. I was really, really impressed with the hull. Also, I didn't notice any rattling with this just here, which I have noticed on boats of this style in the past, and it was annoying. So that didn't happen. Gas storage in here, because this is a gas barbie. And 1, 2, 3, with your bougie fenders, which just slot out of this location here. Same again on the other side. So I think it's time we focus on the helm. Why don't you come in this way, Anthony, and let's give everyone an appreciation of this helm. You can actually option this to have seats all the way across the front. So you could have 4 seats here. This one's got the 2 and the single there. And I'll just have to probably link to some of the some of the options up on the screen there, because they are just too many. But in terms of the helm itself, it's typical Fjord stuff, to be fair. It's just a little bit bougier than the previous designs. We have the carbon fiber grab handles on both sides. The actual design itself is a real step up from the original Fjord 40, because all of this is much more stylish, I guess is what I'm trying to say. We've got facility for much larger Simrad screens than what we currently have on display here. These ones are functional, but you could go way bigger if you chose, and we can have 2 just there. On the center line, we've got the Yanmar joystick. So I did demonstrate that in the test drive. Works fine. It's got a high and low mode. It's all very logical, like you'd be used to with Mercury or Volvo. So no surprises there. Same thing with the throttle control. Predictable. I did notice much smoother in and out of gear compared to Volvos of this style that I've driven. They're so smooth you actually almost don't notice it in engaging and disengaging. It's actually that quiet, so you just have to readjust that in your mindset a little bit. You flip up this little perspex thing here, and we've got our quick chain counter, and then we've got our quick bow thruster. So remember, we do have the joystick, but if you're doing traditional parking, you just need to remember to flip this up, then activate your bow thruster before you use it. So that's just one thing to add to your mental checklist. This is a drink holder. You put phones in here quite conveniently. And this silver display here, basically it's horn, navigation lights, background lights, anchor release. And then when you have your finger on the anchor release, you can then go anchor down. So that's basically a safety, because the anchor system is way better than the old ones that used to fold out over the bow and then jam on you. This, having anchored the boat 3 times myself today, is much, much better. So huge improvement. Anchor light just here, engine on and off keypad just here. We got our windscreen wiper operation, single large wiper just here, and then our emergency cutoff just there. We got our digital diagnostics for the Yanmar just in here. Good place for phones and keys, plus another drink holder just there. And this is actually the keypad. So if you don't want to use the touchscreen and put your fingerprints all over it, you can use the keypad just here. And our Simrad VHF is there. We also have an adjustable steering wheel, which you'd expect on all the Fjords. But one of the improvements, I would actually say, is the seats. So the original Fjord seats had the seat that you sat on would fold down and out of the way. They would often, in time and with too much use, just stop working, and it was annoying. This is really ergonomic. It's functional, because with the seat up, you can still kind of get in there and operate the boat in go fast mode and enjoy yourself. But if you're doing a transit and it's a longer than 15-20 minute drive and you want to sit down and relax, that's quite easy and comfortable. This one's got the upgraded leather, and from a standing position, it's also quite easy and enjoyable to use. So also, if you were a crew and operating this in the tender mode, you can see everything. I can see the transom, I can see the bow, and I can access the side. So if I was coming up alongside a large boat where we had to go up a little bit and the swim platform at the back was too low, I would actually utilize these stairs on both sides. You've got flip out teak stairs, which is the perfect place to board some people up onto a big boat if that's the way you're coming alongside. So that's kind of sensible. They've clearly thought about all that. I did notice some distortion in the windscreen just in each corner. It's minimal. It's not really a safety issue. It's just, I don't know how you would get such a curve without creating distortion. It's just here. Looking through the, forward and either side of the corner, it's totally fine. And look, as I said, I got used to it in about 30 seconds, so it wasn't really an issue. More storage for phones along here, drink holder, and another carbon fiber grab handle just here. And there is a little locker underneath this seat here, which is perfect for a safety grab bag. Just in here, I'll open that again. So a regular safety grab bag would fit ideal in that location, meaning you can get straight at it if you get pulled up by the cops and you don't want to waste any time. It's also worth noting you've got some footrests just here. So if you want to elevate yourself, or you just need to because you've got short legs like me, yes, that's possible. So let's make our way forward and we'll check out the bow. It is worth noting the cleat position, okay? So really easy access from the helm. If you are just parking this boat by yourself and you need to control it, that's going to be handy. Going forward, this boat's got faux teak, flexi teak, I forget the name. It's not real teak. I prefer this. It looks real, it feels real, but it doesn't need to be maintained like the real stuff. Aussies love this stuff, and that's great. So in terms of walking along these gunnels, you've got quite a bit of space. It is possible, again, if you were pulling up alongside a big boat and you needed somewhere to operate, that might be handy. Another JL audio control just here, more speakers. These looks like the base for those poles that we saw in the locker before. So that's going to give us our sunshade, which will go over this area. I'll have to erect that after this video so you guys can see some B-roll of that. Lovely sun lounge here with a couple of drink holders. This didn't move at all at speed. We did 33 knots into the wind and downwind today. This thing was rock solid, zero loss of visibility. I would just leave it as it is, and it's just got a cover that goes over it at the end of the day, which is pretty simple. Actually, it's also worth noting the covers on this boat are quite intelligently designed. There's individual covers for every seat, the dash, the wheel, etc. And the reason why I like that, it's often windy. And if you just have one ginormous cover, like I have had to erect on Fjord 40s of 10 years ago, the wind just takes control of it and I can't manage the thing like it's a sail. Whereas if you break it all down into small manageable chunks, which just fold up really easily and chuck below that aft sun lounge, like I did this morning, it's a cinch. I had them off in 2 minutes, and I think putting them back on at the end of the day, it's not going to be all that hard either. So come forward, we do have access to the bow. Like that's really just a run and jump into the water and have a good time. Yes, you might board people on the bow, but I don't reckon you're going to be doing that all that often because you've got such a nice paint job with no rub rail here. I would be really cautious about that. We've got our fancy red and green pop-up cleats just here, but the real thing I wanted to show you is this new anchor system because it's awesome and it's just simple. So basically, we've just got pneumatic, they're not springs, they're like pneumatic arms, whatever you call them, which just want to push out. And when you release the chain, it just deploys this bow piece and then the anchor just drops with gravity. And then when you're raising it, it just retracts it. So there's really not much there that can go wrong compared to the old ones that used to fold out, have to find a fancy pin, open a door, do all these funky things. This is way better and I like it. You can also operate it from just up here. We've got a town water connection as well and our safety is built in. Much simpler, big improvement. Now, coming down the starboard side, big window just here facing forward, more windows downstairs. We're going to go down and have a look at that for you. But it is worth pointing out there's courtesy lights everywhere. They're the bougie ones, and they're going to be LEDs. Couldn't tell you what color they are because it's daytime. And I noticed there's some underwater lights on the dash as well on this one. Final thing, couple of windows, 1, 2, 3. The cabin on this, if you remember the old Fjord 44, I haven't actually taken one of those to the channel, but I've toured it in Cairn. This boat feels, in terms of interior volume, like it has the same amount of volume as that 44. So come with me and I'll show you. Welcome down below. So this is quite an upgrade compared to what we've seen on Fjords of the past. First, this is the master. It's lovely. We've got really, really nice finishings along the side. We've got big opening windows, so small ports, but we've got windows out to the views there, and we've got this one open on port. And then we've got these large windows here, which don't go out to sea because the gunnels interrupt that, but they give you light. So light and privacy, and then you also have these pull down blinds. Same again forward, and then we've got windows all the way up the top. I assume they open as well. I'm not going to open all the cupboards and the lockers because this is a privately owned boat, and I just want to say a big thank you to the owner for letting us use it. I'm so stoked when people are kind enough to let us use your boats. It's really, really nice. So I'm not going to go through all your stuff, but I see a JL Audio speaker system up here. We've got two large lockers on either side and these barn style sliding doors just here. So then if you go there, Anthony, I'm just going to show you guys the head. So it's a full separate stand-up shower in this head. So this is your sit-down toilet area, but I'm just going to stand in the shower. We've got a big rain head shower with inbuilt lights. We've got this Corian down here and all this other tapware, which is pretty awesome for what is a day boat. And then your loo section just here with some ventilation just out there, big mirror, fancy tap, and all the other storage that you would expect. Looks like a freshwater flush macerator toilet just there. And if you just go in here and look back, so there's many options for this interior layout. You actually don't have to have this little area here, but what we have is a rubbish area, we've got a vanity, we have a fridge. I think you can even do a small little galley down here if you choose as well. We've got another one of these windows at deck level, so that's not looking out onto the sea, it's the hull window just here, which gives you the views out onto the sea. But the best views, I think, particularly when you're underway, is going to be in this next cabin. So let me just close this door. The only couple of lockers that I will open are these ones because they're pretty relevant to the operation of the boat. There's your batteries for starting and finishing your day. And just here is one of your switch panels. So that's pretty logical as well. These are actually your light switches. So I reckon you can probably dial in different mood settings by the look of that switch panel because I've seen ones like that. But I just wanted to lead you through the Dan-sized door. I reckon kids are going to love this. They've made use, if you remember the old Fjord 40, they had, do you love this? Sorry. That's so cool. It's such a Dan door. They used to have an equipment room, and that equipment room was accessed through a deck hatch up on the port side from memory, and it was just somewhere to access the hydraulics and store a lot of your water toys. But now you have the option, you still can have the equipment room if you choose, but you have this wonderful cabin. Sorry, that's what I'm trying to say. So just come in here and poke this camera around here. Check this out. You got this huge, big double bed. These views are epic. Imagine if you're driving along, transiting between Palm Beach to Sydney Harbour. I'd be hanging out down here. You've got 3 opening windows. I can actually stand up in this cabin, which I'll show you in a second. So we've got a couple of lockers just here. We've got some reading lights. We've got power storage. It's a really, really nice space. The timber finishes are a big step up on what I've seen in the past, and even doing things like this curve just here, the workmanship that has to go into creating something like that, I know is a lot extra. So you try and back your way through this door, Anthony. I'm actually going to show you guys the way that they've designed this. So a couple of lockers, drawers just here, and storage behind this seat. They've designed this to allow for head height right next to the bed. So you can, I'm standing up and I have that much space above my head. So there's still another 4 inches above my 5'7" height for someone to stand up when they exit the bed and get change in this cabin. And then you still have this lovely lounge with a little bit of storage behind you. So how practical is this? I think it's just a really, really nice option on, remember, what is just a 41-foot boat. Let's go have a look at the engine bay. Okay, so accessing the engine bay is through what is a, you know, regular size hatch, and you do initially look at it and go, how's this going to go? But when you get down here, you get greeted by this vast space with bucket loads of elbow room around each motor. I'm sorry I couldn't find the light, so I do apologize if it's a bit dark in here, but there's more than enough space. Hopefully this is all going to be able to be a bit appreciated. You even have a couple of opening Lumar hatches above each motor, but a big bloke would be able to get around both of these engines. You can see the hot water tank, power distribution, we've got the blowers on either side, and the batteries are all conveniently located. I suspect you know, that's a facility or a space for a generator or gyro just there, and you can see more batteries just on port. So yeah, after looking at the hatch and going, oh, how's this going to go, you get pleasantly surprised when you get down here. It's quite workable, and let's face it, for the majority of you blokes who buy this boat, this won't be your problem. Someone else will be doing it. So what do you think? Do you reckon I'm right? Do you reckon this is a bit of a crossover between sexy med day boats and your traditional sedan cruiser? I'd be interested to hear your thoughts in the comments. I do read all of them. I just want to say, guys, if you get a lot of value out of this content, if it's helping you buy boats, please subscribe, give us a like, get onto the Patreon if you're really serious. I do appreciate it. It makes a huge difference. So yeah, that's that. I'm really blown away by this Fjord. It drives so much better than previous Fjords. I personally think it actually drives better than all the other med day boats that I've driven that compete with this, and I think this is a real game changer. This making it look sexy and opening up this style of boat potentially to people who weren't thinking of buying something like this. It really is very practical. If you're interested to see how this boat drives and haven't already seen the video, click on the link coming up on the screen right now. Thanks, guys.